The temps are dropping, the flakes are falling, and it's time to talk about some winter backpacking gear. Whether you're a seasoned winter backpacker and hiker, or you're just looking to get into it, you're going to want to hang around and watch this video to the end because I'm sure you're going to find some valuable information within. The gear I'm going to be showing in this video is what I use here in Pennsylvania in the wintertime to get me down comfortably to around 15 degrees or so. If I were to want to go any lower than that, then I would need to make some gear changes, put in some heftier gear. But when I'm backpacking in the wintertime, generally, I'm really only trying to go down into the teens. Really don't try to go down into the single digits. That's getting a little too much for me. And you could definitely do it, but it's, in my opinion, it becomes hard to even enjoy the experience because all your time and energy is just focused on staying warm. And you can't really do much else than that. But if that's your thing, hats off to you. I'm going to try to show the gear in as cohesive a manner as I can. I'll try to show certain things together, so maybe clothing, sleep system, shelter, and the like. But I may bounce around a little bit because there's so much stuff in here and it's not all completely organized perfectly. And at some points I'll also show a couple pieces of gear that I use in the wintertime that are interchangeable depending on the conditions. So I'll be sure to point those out to you. So we'll get things started here with the winter pack. This is the big boy. This is the Gregory Baltoro. This is a 75 liter pack. And this is my go-to for winter backpacking and camping. The reason I chose this pack first is for the carrying capacity, 75 liters in the wintertime, bring in lots of extra gear, lots of extra clothing, and you need to be able to fit it all into the pack. So this 75 liter pack can carry everything I need and more. 75 liter is a great capacity for a winter pack. Basically, it's just one big compartment like most packs. It has a ton of straps to cinch things down here. It has a little mesh outside pocket, some pockets on the outside. It actually has a zipper here on the front here where you can get into the main compartment of the pack, which is useful. I don't know off the top of my head the exact material that this is made of, but it's made to be a very durable pack. Going around in winter conditions, you know, I don't want to have to worry about baby in my gear and things like that. So I wanted a durable pack. And the suspension on this thing and the shoulder straps, you could carry like 40 pounds plus easily. And it rides so well on the suspension on this pack. So you got a nice solid internal frame here, very padded shoulder straps, super padded hip belt, and when this cinches down around your waist and you pull this all tight, this thing is comfortable as hell. You can carry a lot of weight comfortably in this pack. So I'm very happy with this pack. It comes with me on every winter backpacking trip. Next we'll talk about the clothing system that I use. Now I like to use a layering system, a lot of layers, because when you're hiking in the winter, as soon as you start moving and you're carrying a really heavy pack like this, you're going to start to sweat even if it is pretty cold outside. So you want to dress in layers, that way you can take them off, put them back on as needed, because the goal in winter is to not sweat. If you sweat when you're winter backpacking, and that's definitely going to cause you problems at nighttime. When you go to get in your tent or your hammock, that sweat that's still on you, once you try to get in and go to sleep at night, that little layer of sweat that got on you is going to keep you cold at night. It's going to make it really hard to get warm. So when you're backpacking in the winter, do your best to take your time, go a little slower, and if you feel yourself starting to sweat, just make sure that you take the time to shed some layers. Starting off, I just got a pair of synthetic underwear, briefs, whatever. These are outdoor research, but whatever synthetic underwear you have is fine. Another thing with the clothing is you want everything to be synthetic or synthetic wool blend. No cotton. Cotton is very bad in backpacking in general, but especially in the winter. Synthetic, polyester, wool are the kind of garments that you want to be looking for. Next up, when I'm hiking, I'll go for, a lot of times, if it's going to be pretty cold, this is a synthetic base layer. This is just a basic one you can buy off Amazon. It's called Little Donkey Andy. Synthetic bottom here. And a synthetic base layer top. And these work great I find the synthetic base layers are good for hiking, and I prefer to keep my wool base layers for dry for when I go to sleep at night. That way I can have a dry pair of base layers to put on. For me personally, I just find hiking tends to work out better if I use a synthetic base layer, and then I'll use a wool base layer at camp once I know I'm not going to be sweating anymore or doing a lot of physically exerting activities. So that's right here, a basic synthetic base layer. And then for a shirt, a first layer shirt, this is just my regular 3 Seasons synthetic sun hoodie. Whatever synthetic shirt you have, you can wear just for another layer on top of your base layer. So this is the Outdoor Research Echo sun hoodie. You see me wear this all the time in 3 Seasons. I still wear it in the wintertime as a layer. Still works just as good. The pants I wear in the wintertime are the Outdoor Research Hayek, and these are fleece line hiking pants. And I love these things. These things perform exceptionally well. This is a one of my favorite pieces of winter backpacking gear that I came across. Found them on sale on one of the retailers, gave them a try, and they're freaking awesome. The outside layer here is nylon, mostly nylon, a little bit of spandex, so they're stretchy too. They got a little stretch to them. And on the inside, they have a nice fleece layer. So if you're hiking, it's snowing, flurrying, the nylon shell is going to do a good job of beating up and kind of rolling off that snow or moisture, wetness. Not waterproof, but it's going to do a good job of repelling a lot of the moisture. And then the inside with the fleece lining here just keeps you extra warm. The nylon does a good job of blocking out wind. So overall, this is just a great pair of pants. I love these things. The sides, pockets have zippers. You got a zipper pocket on the side here. And the bottom, you got drawstrings and zippers, so you can put them on over your boots, cinch them down tight, try to keep snow and moisture from getting in. But overall, great pair of gear, and I can definitely highly recommend these pants here. Next thing in my layering system here is an Outdoor Research Vigor quarter zip microgrid fleece. Really like this thing. It's very warm for the weight and the thickness of it. You have the microgrid fleece pattern here, quarter zip, pretty basic. But on top of my base layers and my synthetic shirt, this on top next is great. You can vent it out pretty well. So this is very good for the next layer. After that comes my Melanzana microgrid fleece. I'll put this on over top of all that stuff when I want to keep more warm. You guys have seen this thing on me all the time. Very warm. You got the hood here with the drawstring that you can cinch up tight, like around your face if you need to. This thing carries a lot of warmth. In 3 Seasons, if it's only going down into the 40s, I can get away with only taking this and stay warm. So when you add this to a layering system, you know, you're working in a lot of warmth in your system here. This is just what I have. You can use whatever you have around, whatever you can get your hands on. That's kind of what I do with my gear. Whatever I already have, just start piecing it together, making a layering system, and you'll be good to get out there in the wintertime. Then I also carry a lightweight down puffy here. This is the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer. Awesome jacket, very good. I have a separate video on it. I'll link it if you want to check it out more. But alone, this thing keeps you very warm, and as part of a winter layering system, it's also great. I have just enough room to fit this on over my other layers and then fit a hard shell on top of this. And that kind of layering, like I said, can get you into the teens fairly comfortably. And in the wintertime, you're also going to definitely want to have a full set of hard shell. So for the bottom here, I just got a simple pair of Frog Togs rain pants. They're cheap, they're simple, they work. And you know, I never really felt like spending a ton of money to get Gore-Tex pants. Those things are expensive. Got a pair of these. They work very well. They fit comfortably. They slide right on top of everything else, and they keep the moisture off, waterproof, and keep the wind out. Great at keeping the heat in on top of everything that you have. So I like these. You can also get Gore-Tex like rain pants, bottom layers from military surplus. I have a couple pairs of those I've used. They work great. So whatever you can get your hands on, I say for the bottom is going to be just fine for you. In the wintertime, for a jacket, I really recommend not messing around. Try to get a piece of Gore-Tex hard shell if you can. You don't want to mess around with soaking through, getting wet in wintertime conditions, because that could be very bad for you, obviously. So the one I have here is the Outdoor Research Foray Gore-Tex jacket. It's pretty simple and basic hard shell here. It does have the side zips that you can zip up and down to vent out if you need to. You got some drawstrings around the bottom, drawstring on the hood, a couple pockets, pretty basic. It's all seam sealed, waterproof, and this is a Gore-Tex Packlite material, which just means it's a little lighter and still gives you all the protection. So I haven't had too many problems with this piece of gear. I felt like it was wetting through when I first got it, so I washed it with some Tech Wash, reapplied the DWR coating, and I haven't had any problems since. So I think sometimes if you get a jacket from the manufacturer and you feel like it's not working right, Gore-Tex, try to give it a wash and reapply the DWR coating and see if that works for you. And here's the wool base layers, top and bottom. These are, I think you can get these on Amazon. The brand name is Stoic, but it's just a wool base layer, top and bottom. Normally save these, keep them in a ditty bag dry sack in my pack liner in the bottom of my pack. Make sure they stay dry, and I only take them out when I get to camp and I'm all set up and I know I'm not going to have any chance to get wet. That's when I break these guys out, put them on. It sucks sometimes having to strip down to pretty much nothing out there in the wintertime, but once you put these on, put everything back on, move around a little, get warm. The dryness and warmth of these from the wool at nighttime is just, it's awesome. It's a great thing to have. Really helps keep you warm, helps wick moisture away from your body at nighttime. I do also carry a pair of wind pants that I carry in 3 seasons just for extra peace of mind and really just to be safe. It's just another layer that I can put on to keep warm if I get into a bad situation or whatnot. It's only a couple ounces, so I see no reason not to bring them. For gloves, I always rock a pair of fingerless wool gloves to get me started. These are great for when you're hiking. A lot of times when you're moving, your hands don't get that cold. When you're doing stuff around camp and you still want your dexterity, fingerless is the way to go, and still offer you a good amount of warmth. Generally, this is all I wear a lot of times when I'm around. So wool fingerless gloves, definitely recommend grabbing yourself a pair of those. And then when you need to go a little heavier, here I got a pair of Outdoor Research. These are Bitter Blaze gloves, I believe, and these things are very, very warm, very waterproof. It says here shell number 1 is polyester, shell 2 is 100% goat leather, the lining's 100% polyester, and it comes with a synthetic insulation inside, and they're also Gore-Tex waterproof. So they got a lot going on, but all I know is they keep your hands very warm. And I'll just put these on top, right on top of these, double it up, and that's pretty much all I need to keep my fingers and hands warm. It's always nice to have a pair of Gore-Tex gloves, because when it's snowing, raining, just keep your hands dry and warm. These are going to work out very well. And a lot of this gear that I have, I will say, I just buy it on clearance from the brands. So either like clearance, Outdoor Research, or I go to the discount retailers and buy stuff. I never buy any of this stuff full price. Shop around, you can find good deals, and that's normally whatever's on the best deal. That's kind of what I need is what I'll buy. So for my head, I'll either wear a hat when I'm hiking, and then when I'm hiking, if my ears do start getting a little cold, I just have a wool beanie here. This is mare wool, just a standard wool beanie, and that's good most of the time. And when it starts to get a bit colder, I have this awesome trapper hat here. This is, I got this from a place called Fur Hat World. So it's actual rabbit fur on the top here, inside super soft, super warm. It's got synthetic insulation on the top. It's, I think, nylon outside, so it's pretty good at keeping the snow off and the rain. You can cinch this down around you. You have some ear flaps here you can put up if you want to hear better. But, oh my God, putting this thing on in the hammock at night, pulling this down close to your eyes, it just freaking keeps you warm, man. I love this thing. As for socks and footwear, I'll normally start off with a wool liner here as my first layer. So this is, I think, smart wool, just a thin liner. Start off with that, and then normally I'll do a wool sock, like these Darn Tough, stuff that I use all year long. Put these together. Hiking, a lot of times this is enough to keep me warm. And then I have a pair, it's in the bottom of my pack right now, but very, very thick wool socks. If it's really cold, I'll put those on over top. And I carry a dry pair of those for when I get in the hammock at nighttime too. And the shoes, I'm not going to take them off the show here, but they're Salomon X Ultra Gore-Tex hiking boots. They work really well in the wintertime. You're really going to have some type of Gore-Tex waterproof boot. Messing around with getting your feet wet in the wintertime is just not fun, not something I want to have to deal with. So find yourself a pair of Gore-Tex boots if you can. Now, these specific Gore-Tex boots that I'm using, they don't have any insulation inside, so they're only going to keep your feet warm down to a certain point. If you want to go below that, you have to really layer up, and you can only fit so many layers of socks within your boot. And when you put too many layers on, it actually starts to constrict your foot, which actually limits blood flow and makes your feet get colder anyway. So down to like the 20s, the teens, a boot like this is fine. But if you want to go lower than that, then you probably want to look into some insulated boot options, which I don't have a pair of those yet. The hammock that I'm rocking in the wintertime is the Dutchware netless hammock. Very simple netless hammock with a structural ridge line. This is in a 1.2 Hexon material, 11 foot, with the dual 90 mods at the foot. I like a netless hammock in the wintertime. It just makes it easier to manipulate my quilts if I need to and make any adjustments like that. And I can kind of have more access to look around at stars and whatnot at nighttime also. Don't have to worry about bugs, so a net is really unnecessary. The straps I use here are just basic Dutch tree straps with the beetle buckle suspension and Dutch clips here on the end. Very super simple, easy to use in the winter time. Don't need to manipulate it a lot. Just gets the hammock strung up quick and easy. And the quilts, I'm not going to take them out right now because it's snowing so much. I don't want them to get wet. But they're both Hammock Gear Economy 20 degree. So I got a 20 degree incubator and a 20 degree burrow. And that works great. That'll get me down into the teens with the quilt protector. I have separate videos on each of those. If you want to see them, I'll link them in the cards and you can check out the video to see more on those quilts. And I also have a video showing the Dutchware netless hammock and the winter sock I was telling you about. If you want to check that one out, I'll link it also. And then I also carry a quilt protector. This is one from Hammock Gear. This is their most lightweight one. Kind of fraying out a little bit. And this just goes over your hammock and quilts as another little layer. Blocks out wind, protects your quilts from getting wet a little bit, and it gives you overall just a little more warmth inside of your hammock. Now I have tried winter socks from Dutchware, and that's something that goes completely over your hammock, covers it to keep it warmth. But my experience with those is condensation buildup is a huge problem. So I went away from that type of system and just stuck with the quilt protector, and I find that works best. As for tarps in the wintertime, I'll opt for this Seal Poly UGQ tarp because it's bigger, very big, just gives me more protection. I can bring it down, have a lot of space, I can keep the wind off, stay out of the snow, rain, what have you. If I need that extra protection, I'll take this one as opposed to my Hammock Gear Cube and Fiber tarp, which you guys see in most of my videos. Either will work, but when I want the extra protection, I'm taking this one. I always carry a chair in the wintertime. This is the Helinox Chair Zero. I think it weighs about a pound. I always want to have a chair in the wintertime because I'm trying to have fires, I'm trying to hang out. It gets dark early. I need a place to sit close to the fire to keep warm, hang out because you got a lot of time at camp, so camp chairs always coming with me in the wintertime. I carry a little food warming cozy with me here. This is just good if you're doing freeze-dried meals. When you put in the hot water, put them in here. It just keeps them warm longer so they can cook and still be hot and warm for you when you're ready to eat them. If you just have your meal heating up in the regular pouch out here in cold like this, it's going to cool down pretty fast. There's a good chance it could be cold by the time you even go to eat it. And then I just have a basic sit pad here. This is Dutch. I just bring this primarily for in the hammock. I'll spread it out like this, put it in my quilt under my feet, and that just gives me some extra insulation and warmth to keep my feet warm at night in the hammock. So I tend to find that my feet are the one things that if anything's gonna get cold, gets cold. So if I put this in here, then I find that my feet normally stay warm. And if it really gets cold, or if you're in a pinch, like I said, this Reflectix material that I use to make this, you can double it up and that'll give you even more insulation, or you could put either of these items wherever you feel you need more insulation. I could break this down, take it apart, and just have more Reflectix to spread around. And that's kind of a key theme in the winter. You just want to have pieces of gear that can double in duty and that can just kind of save you in a pinch. You know what I mean? I always carry a buff with me. It weighs very little. You can do a lot with it. You can put it around your neck, around your head, anywhere. Just a nice little extra little piece to carry along with you. And then I do carry a spare buff. This one I've been wiping snow away with. But this is one that has holes in it that got burned. I use it to pick up my hot pots when I'm cooking. Any other random stuff I need, I'll use my spare buff. In 3 seasons, I'll normally just use canister fuel with a super lightweight BRS little stove. When it gets colder, they kind of have a little more difficulties. So in the wintertime, the first thing I'll move to for a cook system is an alcohol stove. So here I just have a basic little stove that I made out of a cat can and a tomato paste can with some carbon felt in here, and this works great. You just get yourself a little denatured alcohol and pour it inside of here, light it, and you can easily boil water with that. Still use the same stove as 3 Seasons. Got a cozy for it, and this is the Toaks titanium 550 milliliter pot that I use all the time, and that can fit right on top of there just like that. Got a little windscreen I could put around it and something like that. Simple, easy way to cook in the wintertime. And if it's going to be even colder still, or I want to do some prolonged cooking, we can break out the white gas stove. Here I have a bottle. Inside here is white gas, and I got an MSR Whisper Light stove, which I'm sure many of you know of, probably own one yourself. These things are super common, very well used, very well liked, but white gas can run comfortably down to very, very low temperatures. And a setup like this is just easier to use if you want to do more prolonged cooking. So you kind of got the basic stove here. This goes down in your bottle, and you can sit your stuff right there, cook. I'd say the alcohol stove is a great entry point for wintertime stove. It's going to get you in, get you cooking easily, but if you do want to take a step up, you can consider something like this. And if I want to do some cooking, I'll break out something like this pan. This is the MSR, I don't even know what it's called. It's just a titanium ultralight cook pan. Got enough room in here to do cooking, hot dogs, grilled cheese, whatever else you want. So if you want to do some cooking, I'll bring something like this. Like always, I have my toiletry bag, toilet paper, toothbrush, toothpaste, hand sanitizer, and I got some Body Glide in there. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. In here is kind of my ditty bag, emergency bag, random stuff bag. So in here I got some bandages. I got Esbit cubes for fire. I got Vaseline soaked cotton balls for fire. Plenty of Benadryl, ibuprofen, sleep aid, lighters, matches. I have a ferro rod in here. I might try to use someday. Normally like some Pickardin or off bug spray, bug lotion type things, and that's about it. Pretty basic. Then I'll carry my electronics bag in here. I have my headlamp, which is Nightcore NU25, same one I always use. I have another tiny little Nightcore headlamp in here. I got a Nightcore 10,000 milliamp battery bank, and then I also bring another Anchor battery bank because batteries get drained faster in the wintertime, and with me, I film for YouTube, so I drain even more battery like that. And then if I'm bringing my GoPro or my Osmo Action, I have batteries for that in here. I got my wireless headphones in here. Some extra cords, USB-C, micro USB, and I'll just keep all that kind of in a plastic bag here like this. Oh, can't forget, always bringing the AeroPress no matter what. This is what I use to make my awesome coffee in the backcountry. I have a separate video. If you want to see how I make it, I'll link that in the cards for you. So I'm not going to talk too much about this bad boy right now. For water infiltration, you can still use something like a smart water bottle, but you're going to be better off if you use like an Nalgene bottle like this. The pros of these is that they have the larger top. So if you have water here when you go to sleep at night, try to store them like this to keep this cap wet so that it doesn't freeze up and freeze shut on you. And if your water does freeze, hopefully you can get the cap open. And then with the wide mouth here, you can jam something in here and try to break up the ice. I always carry a simple Evernew bag, just extra water storage and water filtration. I'll filter through this. I just always like to have capability to carry extra water, and like I said, I'll screw my filter on top of here to filter through also. As for filtering, you can use a basic water filter like this. This is the Platypus Quick Draw, or you can use a Sawyer, and you can still use these in the winter in the cold temperatures. The only thing you need to keep in mind is that you don't want to let this freeze. So if you're hiking in sub-freezing temperatures, put it in a bag like this and keep it on a pocket on your person somewhere where it can stay a little warm. And then definitely at nighttime, get all the water out, put it in a bag like this, and just keep it inside of your quilts with you. Keep it warm. But having to worry about the water filter freezing can get annoying after a while. So if you want to do something else, you could also go with something like Potable Aqua. These are water filtration tablets. You'll put 2 of these into your 1 liter bottle, shake it, make sure you get it all around the threads, wait about 30 minutes, and then your water will be safe to drink. But it will have a pretty funky taste to it. So then if you get it, these come in 2 packs, you can get 1 of each. Then you'll put a Potable Aqua PA Plus tablet in there, and that'll kind of clear up that chlorine taste and bring your water back closer to tasting more natural. So I do suggest if you go this route, make sure you get the PA Plus tablets, or your water is going to be tasting funky. That's for sure. And that's going to do it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing this gear here. This is the gear that I use when I go out winter backpacking around here in the Mid-Atlantic in Pennsylvania. Hopefully I didn't forget to show anything. I apologize if I did. The snow is kind of making it a little more difficult to film out here. But all the gear that you see here is what I do use when I go out on the trail. As you can see, the snow's coming down, it's winter time, and I'm ready to get out on the trail and use some of this gear. So I will see you guys in the next one, hopefully out on trail using some of this gear.